The wildfire came like a roaring beast, devouring everything in its path. It leaped across the hills, swallowed trees whole, and turned homes into piles of smoldering ash. People fled in fear, watching the flames consume everything they had ever known. The sky glowed an eerie orange, and the air was thick with smoke. Sirens wailed, neighbors cried out, and the crackling fire drowned out all hope. But when the fire finally died, and the smoke thinned, I returned, my heart pounding as I prepared for the worst. I expected to find ruins. I expected to see nothing but ash where my home once stood. Yet, as I turned the final corner, I froze. My house stood, untouched. The same white walls, the same wooden door, the same roof that had shielded me for years, it was all there, pristine and whole, as if the fire had simply chosen to ignore it. I stepped forward in disbelief. Everything around my house was gone. My neighbor's house, once just a few feet away, was reduced to blackened rubble. The trees that lined the street were nothing but charred skeletons. The ground was still warm beneath my feet, and the acrid smell of smoke clung to the air. But my house had survived. Neighbors gathered around, some with tears in their eyes, others with confusion, even suspicion. "Why was your house spared?" someone asked, their voice hoarse from the smoke. I don't know, I whispered, my throat tight. That night, I sat on my porch, staring at the night sky. The stars peeked through the dissipating smoke, their light flickering like a whisper of hope. My mind raced with questions. Had this been an accident? A strange trick of the wind? Or was this something more? I thought back to the years spent within these walls. The prayers whispered in the quiet of the night, the scriptures read at the kitchen table, the worship songs hummed softly as I cooked dinner. My home had been a place of faith, a place of seeking, a place where I had called upon God in both joy and sorrow. Had He answered in a way I never expected? The next day, reporters came. The story spread quickly, the house that stood. Some called it a miracle. Others called it luck. Scientists speculated about wind currents, humidity pockets, and fire-resistant materials. But no matter how much they tried to explain it, something inside me knew this was more than just coincidence. As the town began to rebuild, my house became a symbol. People came to see it, some in awe, some in anger. "Why you?" a woman asked, tears streaming down her face. She had lost everything. "Why not my home? Why not my family's house?" I had no answer for her. For weeks, I wrestled with guilt. I prayed, asking God why He had spared me when so many others had lost everything. And one night, as I sat alone in my living room, I felt a quiet voice in my heart, "This was never just about you." I realized then that my home had been spared not as a reward, not as proof of righteousness, but as a beacon. A reminder that even in destruction, faith endures. That in the midst of loss, God is still present. I opened my doors to those who had none. My living room became a place of refuge, my kitchen a place of shared meals, my home a place where hope could grow again. Maybe I would never fully understand why my house stood when others fell. But I knew one thing for certain, God's ways are beyond understanding, yet His presence is undeniable. And sometimes, the greatest miracles are not just in what is spared, but in what is done with what remains. God bless and keep you. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.